Technically, I can drive manual in the UK. I have a Bahamian license which legally allows me to do so. In practice, I have probably less than an hour of total experience, and most of that was in a field. With the hopes that I'll quickly figure it out, my dad has given me the option to take one of these 3 manual classics, or near classics, for the next few months to take as my daily driver. He says that as long as I remember where the brake pedal is, then I should be fine. So, what will be my daily driver, or potential victim? This Alfa, a heavily modified supercharged Mini, or a turbocharged Volvo. This is a 2004 Alfa GT modified by Autodelta, which is an independent tuning company that specializes in tuning Alfas. The quadrifoglio, or 4-leaf clover, is a reference to Alfa's racing heritage.
During the war, control of Alfa was assumed by Nicola Romeo, an engineer of considerable experience and ability. He added his moniker to create the name Alfa Romeo. Later came the famous 4-leaf clover, the quadrifoglio.
And Autodelta was the name of their historic motorsport competition department. The original had a 3.2-litre V6 with 250 horsepower and a top speed of 151 miles per hour. It went 0 to 60 in 6.7 seconds. This Autodelta version has a 3.7-litre V6 with 330 horsepower. It also has an added spoiler and other upgrades, so the top speed will be safely a lot more than the original 151. Perhaps the large reason I haven't properly learnt to drive manual is that my dad genuinely bought this car for the primary purpose of teaching me to drive manual, but with so much power, I was too afraid to drive it. That was a long time ago, so I think I'm ready now. Let's hear the engine. Next, this is the Volvo 850 T5R 1995, otherwise known as the Turbo Brick or the Turbo Wagon. This 5-speed manual has a 2.3-litre turbocharged 5-cylinder engine, producing about 240 horsepower with a top speed of 155 miles per hour and a 0 to 60 in 5.8 seconds. The reason Volvo produced a turbocharged estate car is naturally very interesting. In the 90s, Volvo wanted to get back into racing, so they partnered with Tom Walkinshaw Racing to enter the British Touring Car Championship. A saloon car would have been the obvious choice. However, the story goes that when the team went to collect the saloon car from the Volvo warehouse, all they had in stock were estates. Apparently, even the drivers didn't realise they would be racing estate cars when they signed their contracts.
Alfa Romeo were impressive, and the new entry from Volvo, that got a reaction as well. A stunned reaction to the audacity of running an estate car against such committed opposition. But Tom Walkinshaw was behind the project, and he aimed to be a front runner, albeit with generous boot space.
After a lot of creative engineering by TWR, the car didn't do too badly. Incredibly, the brick has a drag coefficient of 0.29, which is lower than a Pagani Huayra. The popularity of the racing version turned this production model into a huge success for Volvo. This car even still has the original 90s number plate, and it being olive green with said number plate, it shares a lot of resemblance to James May's 850R used in the Africa Top Gear special.
James did have a Volvo, but not the sort of Volvo we were expecting.
That isn't an 850R, is it?
It is! You bought an 850R?
It doesn't matter, it's a Volvo. This defines the estate car. Nothing else is an estate car, only this.
Do you remember British Touring Car Championships? These were great fun to watch.
Yes, exactly.
When we hear the engine in neutral, keep in mind that it is turbocharged and has the lowest horsepower of the 3. And finally, this is a very heavily modified Mini Cooper S 2005 convertible. The standard R52 had a 1.6-litre supercharged inline-4, making around 168 horsepower with a 0 to 60 in about 7 seconds, and a top speed of 135 miles per hour. This version has been heavily modified and now has around 280 horsepower, so obviously this has a lot more power than a stock Mini. In something this small and light, that amount of power will feel very quick. This one is also particularly unique because it was modified and customized personally by my dad and Petrolped. The refurb is really well done. To me, it looks like a toy with a nice blue interior and the classic analog gauges. We don't know the top speed or 0 to 60, but it would be safely comparable to the other two cars. So after looking at all three of the cars, I am choosing the Volvo. or at least that's what I thought. When I was first given the option between these three cars on paper, I was immediately drawn to the Volvo because of its retro appearance, the history behind it, and the idea that it would be a classic yet slightly unusual car to learn manual. However, after seeing the other two cars up close, I'm honestly very tempted by them as well. The interior of both the other cars are in significantly better condition than the Volvo. And although I think the Volvo has the most unique appearance, I think the Alfa looks really cool and sporty, with the spoiler, the quadrifoglio, and the classic Alfa nose and bonnet. And the Mini looks really special with the refurb and the custom add-ons. In terms of the engineering, the Alfa would probably be the sportiest and the fastest, but the Mini engine really surprised me, and I think it would be very fun to drive. And of course, the Mini is the only convertible. So no, I am not entirely sure what to pick. In any case, I'm excited to start driving one of them. And I have a lot planned for the next few months, including potentially driving my car of choice up to Scotland. In April, maybe a trip to Spa and the Nürburgring, and hopefully Goodwood and the Grand Prix in the summer. And with so much planned, I am genuinely unsure of what car I would choose, so let me know what you would pick in the comments.